Hello everyone, this is Mark with the Speak Brave podcast. Here's my friend John, an executive producer. This is our studio where we come to you every week. This is another episode of Speak Brave podcast where it shows you behind the scenes production. John, how are you?
I'm good, thank you for asking. You look great today too.
Thank you. And hello everyone, I hope everyone's week is going great. Let's get started with the podcast. John, today I'd like to talk about how to build teams that create, inspire, and move to do extraordinary things. And we're going to talk about diversity. We're going to talk about diversity and how to step out of your comfort zone for results that are extraordinary. That's what I want. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started. Did we test all the equipment? Everything is in good order?
As best as I can tell, looking at all the programming and what I've got on the monitor in front of me, everything seems to be ready and the camera is working fine as well.
Let's do it.
All right, we will be rolling for this podcast recording in 3, 2.
Hello everyone, this is Mark with Speak Brave Podcast. Welcome to the show. It is my pleasure to bring alongside the conversation my dear friend and conversation ally and partner and my executive producer, John.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Or good afternoon, or good evening, or good day, wherever you happen to be.
Yes. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I appreciate you spending half an hour with us where we can learn together. John, I am excited to tell you the topic of today's conversation, which is how to build, nurture, and maintain extraordinary teams. Why is that important, and how you can use it in your life. John, are you part of any teams right now?
I am.
Okay.
The most immediate one, if you want to have an example, is the one that you and I have formed with Dr. Diane Longstreet. This team of professional speakers and professionals in so many other ways who have joined together to create this synergy, as I like to call it, that gives us the opportunity to bring our messages to the listening and viewing audience on a regular basis, and these messages with the direct purpose of bringing valuable, useful, life-changing, beneficial information. But I'm a member of other teams as well. You might think this sounds a little silly, but when you're part of, let's say, a choir program like I am at my church, that is a team. That is a group of individuals that all possess different degrees of talent, but the one thing they have in common is this great desire to provide a worship experience that will inspire the people listening and will aid the pastor of the church in conveying the message that he has chosen for today. I consider Toastmasters, and particularly the executive committee, which is the 7 officers that make up this particular fiscal year for Toastmasters, as a team, because it's really not a question of someone being the leader and giving all the orders. It's about 7 people working in harmony to help the club as a whole and its members specifically become more successful. Teams are so important, and it's also, by the way, on this particular day, we're in the throes of the NFL playoffs.
Oh yes, that's right. Did you, was there? I missed a couple of games.
2 games.
Well, except actually, I didn't watch them, but I know the results. Falcons and what was the other team? Packers.
The Patriots. Falcons beat the Packers. Patriots beat the Steelers.
They did.
So the Super Bowl will feature the Falcons, who haven't been in Super Bowl in eons, against the Patriots, and this will be the 7th Super Bowl for their quarterback, Tom Brady.
7th?
7th.
7th.
Yes.
That is amazing.
It is.
7 is a cool number, just like the number of officers. John, I appreciate that you brought the team, the NFL team. Are you a football fan?
Yeah, I love American football. I particularly love college football, but I do watch pro football as well. Football is a game that I've loved since my youth.
Yeah.
And I never was very good at it,
Yeah.
but I always enjoyed going to the games and watching them, and I watch them on TV. So I wouldn't say I'm a fanatic. Let's just say Saturdays during the fall are a lot of fun for me because of college football.
Yeah. What I want to point out is not everyone in the audience is a football fan.
That's correct.
Some some audience members may think, football, what is football? I don't really understand that.
Mhm.
And I want to make sure that I take parallel from the game of American football, NFL, to lives
Mhm.
that we have. For years, I was an NFL fanatic. For years, in Philadelphia and then Utah, I lived. And I was part of two teams. One of them was Dallas Cowboys.
Mhm.
I know.
America's team.
America's team. It just something that happened. It was a friend, and my friend, she was a fanatic of Dallas Cowboys, and I had to watch it with her. There was no other choice, and that's how I became a fan. And then Philadelphia Eagles. When I lived in Philadelphia, Philadelphia Eagles was the team that you have to follow.
Oh yeah.
And it felt like Eagles, they lost at the very important games over and over and over again. And it felt like the attitude or the flavor of town was deflated every time they lost. This is how much the town cared about their team.
They live and die with the team.
They live and die with the team. And it affected me because I lived there. And because I was part of that community, part of that city, it affected me deeply. And every time Eagles went up, because you know they never won Super Bowl when I lived there, and they went higher and higher in playoffs or in the season. And when that loss came, the next day or the next couple months were absolute dread. Because it was so, maybe just me, John, maybe I just invested too much in something I care about. That's possibly what it was. But isn't the football, the American football, is a cataclysm for working life in the United States?
I think it can be. I think
For corporate life?
Yeah, I think it can be a mirror image simply because it has a hierarchy and structure.
Yeah.
And then it has those people who are at the ground floor who perform the actual daily work of making. They perform in the game. They are the talent. And it's interesting. Unlike the American corporate system, many times everybody looks at the CEO or the president of the company or the owner of the company as the principal go-to person, and that in a lot of ways is true because of the American business structure. And in professional football, there is an owner or owners, and they are the CEO, but then they also have this team that they have built there, the individuals that assess and hire the right kind of talent. And then there's a coaching staff led by a head coach who have to keep that talent working as a team. But at the end of the day, between the decisions by the coaches to how to set up the game and the game plan and the plays that they can use that hopefully will outperform the other team, the talent on the field performing it must execute each of their individual duties and responsibilities, and if they do, success is highly likely.
Right. What I want to make sure is that a lot of teams that I have seen in American football, the one that NFL that I follow, some teams have a lot of stars, but not a cohesive unit.
That's true.
Because if you have a lot of stars if you are a star in anything, what happens? You have an ego boost. Because everyone says, oh, you're so great. Not only are you great, we're going to give you a whole bunch of money just to make sure that you stay happy. And that creates an ego that sometimes that ego can catapult or torpedo the team dynamic.
And the flip side of that is that sometimes the people working with that ego will place too much responsibility on that individual, and they will neglect their support that they need to give for that so-called star. The ability to perform at the levels that they're capable of performing. So it can be both ways, and yet it comes back to your premise. No one is successful unless they have a team around them. The recent election is a perfect example. I look at the previous president of the United States, Barack Obama. And one of the things that Mr. Obama realized early on when he was the president was that he was young and extraordinarily inexperienced in terms of the political framework of this country and how it was run. He had goals, he had specific agendas that he wanted to accomplish, but he learned early that he needed to have specific allies and teammates who could do a lot of the leg work, the heavy lifting, and in some cases the dirty work behind the scenes. Now we have the same type of scenario again, and regardless of your political position, the truth of the matter is, the man that's sitting in the White House today, which is Donald Trump, is new to this job. He may be a businessman and understands corporate structure and giving orders and passing the buck and delegating down, but he has to get to learn the understanding of the animal that we know as our government and our capital, Washington, D.C.
The American government.
And so he's got to surround himself with a lot of good players to help him accomplish his objectives.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always been.
If you want to succeed in life, there's one rule you cannot break. And that rule is you must build a team of people you can trust, people who care, people who are aligned with your purpose, and people who can move as one. And if you fail to do that, you will fail every time. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is. And I want you to clarify for our listeners this.
Yes.
You often, and I do as well, talk of our tribe.
Yes.
I want people to understand that, at least from my perspective, a tribe is not the team. The tribe is really, I think, the followers, the fan base, but the team is the core.
The active.
Yes.
It's the core. It's the active ingredients that build up your movement. The tribe is okay. So are you saying that in the overall context, when everyone is in you, so you have a team, and then the larger scope is tribe, but it's also part of the team, or no? So
no, I don't think the tribe is part of the team, at least not to the extent that they are actively involved in day-to-day issues of how you make your success.
Okay.
Your team is the team that is there, that you go to for the immediate feedback. You go to them for the guidance, you go to them for the ideas, you go to them for running errands for you and taking care of this, for handling, if you want to call it this, handling some of the shielding from certain things from you and whatnot. Whereas the tribe is really the people that are listening to you.
The core team.
Yeah.
I want to mention something, John. Did you know I was part of a church? And specifically, I was youth leader for a period of time.
You've talked to me about that before.
And for now that I have time to reflect on that experience, I realized being a part of service in a religious congregation or a spiritual congregation allowed me to become a better leader. Because this is a volunteer. I mean, nobody gets paid except maybe a pastor or maybe some other key staff position, but it's all faith. And you come together as people of faith to serve or to do your own spiritual growth, be part of the community, but also travel together. And it also attracts people of different social, economic, ages, and from different parts of the world. And that is the laboratory, I think, for learning, for future leaders. Yes, it is not the most glamorous job, or not the most glamorous position, but the benefits of it outweigh any financial compensation, because the lessons you can learn from it, you can apply it to your other areas of life. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because that, being part of that youth leader assignment, it have helped me to approach people who look different than I am. And now one of my mottos, and I want to share this with the listeners and with you, John, is whenever you can, stay open. Stay open in your heart and in your mind, but then approach people who don't look like you, who don't talk like you, and who don't think like you. That is the juice, because every time, I was recently at a conference, a writers' conference in one of the local towns, and it was a big event where a lot of different people came, writers and aspiring writers, editors, and content producers of some sort. And being an open person, I come up to people and I just say, hello, I like your t-shirt, can I take a photograph of it? Or just trying to be silly and just start a conversation. And what I have learned is that many times before, I had opportunities to connect with people, and I didn't. Why? Because fear, thinking that I'd have nothing to contribute, or they're not going to like me, or I'm not going to like them. I think it's all garbage. If you really want your life to change, you have to take risks every day.
I agree with you.
And sometimes you have to take risks that are uncomfortable. And sometimes you risk this sanity or this peace of mind, thinking, oh, I'm going to make a connection with this person. This person is going to maybe turn out not such a good contact, or they're going to follow me around, or I'm going to follow them around, or there's some kind of things I'm not going to like. I think it's all garbage. If you open, if you deliberately connect with a person who don't look anything like you or says things you don't necessarily agree with, there's gold there. What do you think about that?
Actually, I was going to ask you a question and you answered it for me, because I wanted to get your take on the idea that you actually seek people to be a part of your inner core, your team, those individuals working to help build you in your business, and the concept of getting individuals who there's some degree of unfamiliarity with each other or even resistance to one another in terms of ideas or thought. There's even a little bit of pushback. It's not animosity, but it's people of differing views, people with different approaches, people with different perspectives, people who may not actually agree with all of your message, but what they could bring to the table is invaluable, because I'm getting, if I'm getting it correctly, the sense that the gold in this is that they're going to keep you aware of where resistance is going to arise.
Yes.
And that resistance is important to know about, because it'll allow you to tailor your message to better deal with the resistance that you will get if you have a message that is potentially life-changing, but also one that people would shake their heads and say, I don't know where you came from or what you came out of, but I don't see how that could possibly work.
Yes. I have arrived at this thinking through Toastmasters system, John. For my audience who is not familiar with Toastmasters, Toastmasters is a non-profit organization present in 135 countries for over 95 years, isn't that?
That's correct.
And it's comprised of individuals who come on a volunteer basis. They pay semi-annual fees to the organization, and they create clubs, and they meet either once every 7 days or once every 14 days. They have assigned roles and they speak. They have leadership positions. It's essentially a laboratory of experiential learning to be a better leader and to be a better speaker. And there's so much more than that. And I do recommend Toastmasters for anyone who ever, because you will become a better person. You become more creative, more empathetic, a better leader, and you make friends for life. That's how we met.
That's how we met.
Yeah. So Toastmasters, they have this feedback system that is immediate. As a speaker, if you're a participant, if you're a member, you get to speak, and then you get immediate evaluation as a feedback. And a lot of times, as a Toastmasters, we give a speech and we go to a club and we say, you know what, you give a speech and everyone loves you, or everyone says, oh, this was the greatest speech, let's make sure you do it again and again and again. And that's good for your ego, but it's not good for your growth. If you truly want to be a remarkable speaker or communicator, you have to seek out feedback from sources you never ever heard before. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense to me, because I've benefited from that feedback so many times in my Toastmasters career.
Yeah.
I've always gotten especially positive feedback results out of what would be perceived by some people as a negative evaluation. Now let me differentiate in that term negative, because negative by its very nature has a bad sound to it. And I don't know that negative is what we're talking about here. There's an experienced Toastmaster who is a very, very good friend of yours, and she is a mentor to you.
Oh yes, I know.
And she and I have known each other for multiple years because we've been a part of the Toastmasters community in this part of Florida. She is one of the most engaging, pleasant, and gregarious individuals that you'll ever meet. A delight to be around, very diminutive in size, but certainly with a voice that commands the attention of the room. And her skill set is unquestionable.
It's unmatched.
She's paid her dues.
Unmatched, yeah.
Having said that, when we get together, particularly those of us who are seeking to raise our game to higher levels where we are going to be more proficient as communicators and as listeners, we will meet and we will give each other feedback. And I have always found that in those moments when she says, You know, I love listening to you, and I'm excited every time I'm hearing you, and you always bring something great. However, that being said, here's some things that I personally saw that I just couldn't quite grasp what you were attempting to do. And I need to make some suggestions based upon how I heard it, how I felt it, how I saw it. The old feel, felt, found type thing. And what happens is that I walk away having been enriched. Because what she has done is she has pointed out the strengths, but she's also taken time to tell me, in your journey, I see greater potential from you if you will try to work on this particular aspect of your communications with the goal to be even more successful and make a greater impact. Now, to me, that is evaluation with the pure purpose of motivation and not to humiliate or to embarrass you. And this, of course, is the mission of Toastmasters as a club. But when an individual of that level of skill and that position of tenure as well gives you that kind of feedback, you're looking at an individual who is being extraordinarily unselfish with you. Because if she was selfish...
And she's kind. She's kind.
She is kind.
I know who you're talking about.
People say she comes across somewhat abrupt.
No, she's very kind.
She's extraordinarily kind.
Extraordinarily kind, and her kindness comes out in her honesty because the underlying intent is to help you. Thank you for bringing this up, John, and I hope that she listens to this podcast and recognizes this is what this is our praise for her. What I want to kind of look at from the other perspective. When we build a team, and we want to make sure that our team succeeds. We have a purpose, right? We have a goal. Like you and I as a team, and we may have Dr. Diane Longstreet with us, maybe we have a few other people. As a team, sometimes we have to give feedback to each other, right? We have to. We must do it. One of the traps that happens that I've seen many, many times over and over is that when somebody provides feedback, and the other person receiving feedback may interpret your feedback as an assault or as an attack. And what happens? The other person, the one who receiving the feedback, may get defensive. And when you get defensive, what happens? You shut down. You shut down, and you cannot move forward beyond your emotions. It's like, oh, this is an attack on my baby. This is an attack on my ego. This is an attack on my identity. I will just push away. And I think one of the challenges for everyone is to learn how not be defensive. Because the reason I'm on this on such a laser-like quality is because, John, I was defensive for many, many years. I'm 38 years old. For about, 20 years, every time somebody was giving me feedback, I thought it's an attack on my identity, and it's an attack on being a man, an attack on my ego. And what happened? I pushed that person away, but there was valuable information. You don't have to take everything what the other person is saying, but listen. It's not about you, but rather listen to the other person and extract valuable information. Because you can go through life and be defensive in everything you say, or if you're on this journey, because growth is never comfortable. If you want to achieve the next level of growth, you have to do things you've never done before. And you have to make a commitment in your mind, yes. It's not going to be all roses and strawberries like we have in Florida. It's not going to be all the flowers and clouds and Capricorns. No, I'm sorry. Unicorns. Capricorns.
Unicorns.
What am I saying? Capricorns. It's going to be a journey where you're going to be pushed. You're going to be pushed to your limit. You're going to be, your patience is going to be tested. You're going to be pushed to the edge of your ability. And I think when you push yourself to that limit, you will find out people come into your life, situation and opportunities that's for your taking. But you have to arrive there. And one of the barriers is break down the barrier to your defensiveness, your resistance. You're still your own man, or you're still your own woman. Nobody's attacking you. It's rather a way for them to extract the information. You may or may not want to continue the relationship with that person or interaction, but listen, don't get defensive, because if you do, you miss out. and you miss out on valuable information.
You do.
Now I do want to make sure that, there's only so much a person can take. You can, you go out there every day and you push through, you pound the payment, you hustle for your business, for your family, and when you get rejection after rejection, or disappointment, or attack, or feedback that you think is negative, there's only so much you can do, because that's why it's so important to have people in your team who will affirm you, who will say, you know what, John, I believe in you. I know you can do it, and the world will not treat you well, but I'm here for you. No matter what, I'm affirming you, I trust you, and you go back to that renewal source. Maybe for you it's God, maybe it's for you it's the animals, maybe it's for you it's your spouse, and maybe it's for you somebody who always energizes you, because an important part of your team is your home team. Yes, you have a team that achieves business purposes and goals, but you have to have a home team. Maybe it's your family. Like for me, it's my sister. I can talk to her about anything and everything, and I know that I have invested in that relationship, where I can talk about with you, and I know that there's always going to be support.
Yeah.
And that support will propel you forward when other people will doubt you, or you think they doubt you. What do you think about that?
I have to say two things on that. One, it's no good having a team if all they do is praise you and they never really take you to task.
Okay.
And when I say take you to task, again, teammates are the kind of individuals, at least from my perspective, who care so much about your success and who believe in the messaging that you're bringing or the product that you're delivering, that they are totally convinced this is where you belong, this is what you should be doing, this is your niche, this is where you shine. But in having said that, if you don't have feedback from them from time to time that says you're missing an opportunity here, or you are straying off of the path that you have laid for yourself and you're getting over here into something that really has no practical purpose in the objectives you're trying to achieve, and they say to you, I want to tell you because your success means everything to me, you need to rethink your approach in some things. You need to open up more, or you need to be more careful about what you say or how you say it. These friends are individuals that do praise you, they do affirm you, they stand with you, and most importantly of all, they steadfastly avoid anything that gives the appearance that they're critical of you when you were in your actual presentation forum. They are your allies. They reserve their feedback for the behind the scenes and private.
Yeah, and that's important.
That's team building. A coach,
yeah.
You know, I watch coaches on the sideline. We opened up with
NFL.
Talking about the NFL.
Yeah.
I know that the cameras spend a lot of time, if you watch NFL football, looking at the coach. And a coach's reactions say a lot about the demeanor of the coach, not just as to their expectation, but also to their frustration or their joy. And that sometimes is shown in such a way that you get the sense, okay, he's really mad at that player. And if they catch him coming up to the sideline, he may actually get up in the player's face with his finger, shaking his finger at him and saying, boy, I'll tell you one thing right now, you're not going to be in the NFL very long if you keep making boneheaded mistakes like that.
I love it.
But you see, sometimes that's what a boss does. But you see, in that particular situation, there's a lot of money on the line. They're paying him a salary. He's paid
television rights.
There's money, there's fans, there's tickets, there's concessions, and it's business.
Yes.
But you know, in life, generally speaking, that's not the structure of how we do things. A game is one thing, but the game of life is different. I worked for a company that when I went to work for them in 1996, they were way down the list among major insurance carriers in this country writing automobile insurance. And in the 17 years that I was with that company, starting in 1996, in 96 that office had 125 people. That company was actively growing itself through aggressive advertising and marketing, but at the same time it was producing a product that lived up to what it was being advertised as. a product that would be just as good as any larger company of the same background, but much more affordable.
Right.
Because they were always working at eliminating those things which drove up costs so that they could give the consumer the savings.
Yeah.
And it's in a business where it's more takeaway than it is signing up new policyholders. That being said, that company today is now approaching, in terms of auto insurance, the position of the second largest automobile
in the United
insurer in
States.
America.
Wow.
Now that brings a daunting problem, because when you have all that more people there, there's a great deal more pressure to succeed and to achieve. So this is the thing about teamwork. You've got to be able to maintain that team perspective.
Cohesiveness. It talks about leadership. I am so happy you brought this up, John, because in the next podcast episode, we will talk about leadership. We'll talk about leadership, how a leader can inspire, build, and motivate, nurture, and bring forth and mold the group of people to achieve a purpose. Because team will only get you so far. You need a leader. It's everything is important. Leadership, mission, execution, teamwork. In the next episode, we will talk about leadership specifically, how a leader can inspire a team. But if there's one sentence takeaway from this episode, I will share this with the listeners. It is, when you have a goal in mind, have a strategy, have an execution plan, find a way to have your home team that will cheer you on. But when you build your, what is it? So one is home team and the other one is outward team, or the business team.
Okay. Followers, or client base.
So your home team is one, but then your front team, make sure you ask people who don't look like you, who don't think like you, who don't talk like you. And when you feel doubtful, that is exactly when you should approach. Break the rules. Because what following the rules have got you? Same paycheck, same situation, same life. But when you break or bend or just move the rules just a little bit within the confines of the legal system, within the confines of the social contract, just bend the rules and see what happens. Because that's the juice. Because I know you can. Thank you so much, John. Thank you for being part of this tribe and this following. Please reach out to me on social media. I love when you do. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. This is Speak Brave. Whatever you do, don't forget to speak brave. And I'll see you next time. John?
Goodbye, everybody.
And this is Mark, speaking brave to you, and I'll see you next week. Well, thanks everyone for listening. This was an intense episode. I think we got through it as the time went on. And I thank you for being part of this journey, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Before you sign off, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and send it and share it with your friends and with everyone who think may benefit from this. And don't forget, see you next time.